Indonesia, the largest economy in Southeast Asia. Indonesia is made up of more than 17,000 islands and is home to approximately 280 million people. It has a mixed economic system where both the government and private sector contribute to the economic development. The country's economy is supported by industry such as services, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, and exports, including palm oil, coal, and electrical equipment. Although Indonesia has achieved steady economic growth over the years, it still faces several economic challenges, one of which is inflation. Inflation refers to the general increase in the prices of goods and services over time. As prices rise, the purchasing power of money decreases, meaning people need to spend more to buy the same products. In Indonesia, inflation is mainly influenced by changes in food prices, fuel prices, and global economic conditions. Although inflation is a normal part of every economy, keeping it under control is important because excessive inflation can affect household spending, business confidence, and overall economic stability.
To understand Indonesia's economy today, we first need to look at its inflation journey over the past 3 decades. The data from the World Bank tells a remarkable story. During the mid-1990s, Indonesia maintained a moderate inflation rate, averaging between 6 and 9%. However, everything changed in 1998. In just 1 year, inflation skyrocketed to 58.45%, the highest level recorded during the entire 30-year period. This wasn't simply an increase in prices, it was the result of the Asian financial crisis, which caused the Indonesian rupiah to lose much of its value. Imported goods became significantly more expensive, businesses struggled to survive, and millions of Indonesians faced a sharp rise in the cost of everyday living. Fortunately, the crisis did not last forever. As Indonesia introduced economic reforms and strengthened its financial system, inflation gradually declined. By the early 2000s, the country had begun rebuilding stability, although occasional increases still occurred due to rising fuel prices and global economic pressures.
Compared to the financial crisis decades ago, inflation is now relatively stable. In 2025, the inflation rate was recorded at 1.91%, lower than both 2022 and 2023. This suggests that the government's monetary policies, subsidy management, and price control measures have played an important role in maintaining price stability. But even with stable inflation, challenges still remain. One major cause is demand pull inflation, where consumers purchase goods faster than businesses can produce them. Another is cost push inflation, which occurs when production costs such as fuel, transportation, and raw materials increase. A weaker Indonesian rupiah also makes imported products more expensive, while global events such as oil price shocks, pandemics, and financial crises continue to place additional pressures on prices. These rising prices affect more than just the economy. They affect people's daily life. Families spend more on food, transportation, and housing, leaving less income for savings or other essential needs. Businesses also face greater uncertainty when planning future investment, while low-income households experience the greatest financial burden because a larger share of their income is spent on basic necessities.
Recovering from the Asian financial crisis was a long process. After inflation peaked in 1998, the Indonesian government focused on rebuilding public confidence while restoring economic stability. One of its first actions was guaranteeing bank deposits to protect people's savings. The government also established the Indonesian Bank Restructuring Agency or IBRA to restructure weak banks and strengthen the financial system. At the same time, tighter monetary policies were introduced to control the money supply. Although these measures did not reduce inflation immediately, they laid the foundation for long-term recovery. To prevent inflation from rising again, Bank of Indonesia adopted an inflation targeting framework, using interest rates as its main policy tool while improving the central bank's independence. More recently, initiatives such as TPIP, TPID, and GNPIP have helped stabilize food prices, strengthen supply chains, and improve distribution across the country. These efforts have been proven effective. Despite challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic and rising food prices, Indonesia has maintained relatively stable inflation, showing that long-term policy coordination is essential for sustainable economic growth.
Today, Indonesia continues to face challenges such as global economic uncertainty, rising food price, and supply chain disruptions. Even so, its ability to maintain relatively low and stable inflation demonstrates the importance of consistent policies, effective institutions, and long-term planning. In conclusion, controlling inflation is not the responsibility of central bank alone. It requires cooperation between the governments, business, and society to ensure that economic growth remains sustainable while protecting purchasing power and quality of life of the people.